that a little intention for our practice today, bringing our focus inward to make that connection with ourselves. And then we'll open up our eyes. We'll open up those hands really wide, like we were looking for a hug, pulling the shoulders back, opening the chest. And then we'll take that right arm, bring it across, and we'll hold it with the left. And release, open wide for the hug. And then exhale, left arm goes across. Good. And open up again. And let's bring those hands behind us so we can hold that imaginary yoga ball, squeezing our hands towards each other. Or we can try and bring those hands together and open up the chest a little bit further. And then gently we'll release the hands and we'll bring them up high, reaching those fingers to the sky. And then exhale, we'll just tilt over to the right. Can release that right hand down toward our mats, reaching the left up and over. And then inhale up. And exhale over to the other side. Left hand finds our mat. Right hand reaches up and over, and we'll sit that right hip down into our heel. And back up to the top. And then exhale, let's bring the hands forward, lowering the chest, rounding in the spine into a little child's pose here. And then we'll walk our hands backwards, lifting the chest and bringing the hands even further back past the heels, under our shoulders, behind us. Lift the heart. You can even lift our chin. And then begin to tuck the tail, lift the hips. For baby camel. Keep tucking the tail, lengthening all along in our spine. Feel those quads begin to open up in the front of the hips. Maybe our abs get a little stretch, and then we'll lower our butts back down. Shoulders can come forward, round, and we'll come down into our child's pose. And then walking our hands back, lifting our heart. We'll come back to our baby camel again. Hands come back behind us. Tuck the tail, open the heart. We'll lift the hips. And lower back down. Round and come forward into our child's pose. Let's take one more breath here. And then we'll inhale up to our tabletop. Hands will find their spot underneath the shoulders, knees underneath of our hips. Lengthen all along from our head toward tail. And then exhale, we'll round in the spine, lifting it up to the sky for our cat. And then inhale into our cow. Little arch in the spine. Exhaling cat. And inhaling cow. We'll just move with our breath a few more times. Let's do one more of each. And then back to that neutral spine. Find the length. And then we'll thread the needle. So we'll lift up our right hand, reaching up to the sky. And then exhale, bringing that through underneath the left arm, placing the shoulder and the ear down onto our mats. Left arm can come out in front of us and begin to walk those fingers around to the right. Open up those shoulders as we breathe. Do one more inhale here. We'll stay for that exhale. And then slowly we'll come back to our tabletop. Good. And then we'll move to the other side. So lifting the left hand up to the sky. And then threading that needle. Left arm comes down underneath the right, resting our shoulder and our ear onto our mats here. And then again, the right arm can come out in front of us. Just creepy crawl those fingers around to the left as we breathe, lengthening on the inhales. And exhale, continuing to twist. One more inhale. And exhale. And then coming back to our tabletop. Good. Let's do a cat. Round in that spine. And a cow. And come back to the center. Making sure that we're breathing all around in this torso. Lengthening, pulling those shoulders away from our ears. Inhale, let's do some spinal balance. So we'll lift the right hand and the left foot. Good. And now exhaling, let's bring the elbow and the knee together, rounding in the spine. And then inhale, we'll reach out nice and long. And exhale, round and touch. And then inhale, reach. And now let's bring that arm back behind. Try and find our toes or the ankle. Kicking into the hand with the foot, opening up the shoulder, little twist in the spine. Good, and releasing. And down to our tabletop. Good, and then other side, left hand, right foot, reaches nice and long. Good, and now let's bring the elbow and the knee together, rounding in the spine. And then inhale, we come out to our reach. And exhaling, touching underneath. And lengthen on that inhale. And now let's reach back, find the foot. With that left hand, open up the shoulder. And releasing. And back down to our tabletop. Good, let's do an arch. Or I guess a little round in a cat. And then inhale, arching to a cow. And then back to that neutral spine. And we'll walk our hands forward just a little bit. And we'll bring our shoulders forward for a baby plank. Knees are soft on the mat. Feet are relaxing. Pressing into those hands, opening the shoulders back behind us. Good. And now let's exhale back to our child's pose. Inhale, let's come forward to that little plank again. And exhale back to child's pose. And now inhale, let's come forward and we'll bring the right foot up to our hands, to the outside of our hands for lizard pose. Little lunge here. Good, and then let's step back for a child's pose. And second side, inhale up, little plank, nice strong plank here. Even though we're on our knees, we can still get a good positive work from our little plank. Good, and now let's bring that left foot forward into our lizard. Hips are still coming forward. Pressing into the palms, into this left foot, and a little bit into this right foot to kind of take some of the pressure off of that right knee. Good, and coming back to our child's pose. And now inhale, we'll come forward, bringing the right foot up to our lunge. And then our left hand will stay on the floor, right hand comes up to the sky. Good, and now from here we're going to turn that left hand just like a little bit so that the fingers are pointing at about a 45-degree, and also the right toes are going to point off to the right, and we're going to turn so that our left hip can find a little spot closer to the floor. Little twist here. We can keep the hand up to the sky or reach back behind us. Now we're going to bend this left knee and try and find the foot with our right hand. Pulling the foot in towards our butt. And then we'll gently release that foot and come all the way back around to the front of our mat. And then we'll step back to our child's pose. Take a breath or two. And then we'll inhale, coming on up, bringing that left leg forward. Set ourselves up into that little lunge. The more we do it, hopefully the easier it gets. And then we'll lift up the left hand, little twist. Opening up, and then sinking the hips down, lifting the heart. And then pointing those left toes out to the left. The fingers might go out to the right a little bit, twisting a little bit more. Keep looking back behind us, lowering the right hip down toward our mats. We can even reach behind like there's something that we just can't quite reach because we've put ourselves in this weird situation. And then when we're ready, we'll bend that right knee, find the toes with that left hand, and pull the heel in towards our bum. Sinking those hips down lower, lengthening in the quad, keeping that chest open, shoulder is strong underneath of us. And then we'll release that foot, coming back all the way around to our lunge, and then we'll step back for our child's pose. Again, 1 or 2 breaths here. Good. And now let's tuck those toes underneath of our butt. And we'll press back a little bit, open up the arches and our ankles. Pressing into all of our fingers, all of our toes. Let's lift our hips up towards the sky for downward facing dog. Bending the knees, lengthening from our fingertips all the way back to our tails. We can begin to pedal our feet. Get those legs awaken up. And now let's inhale, lifting our heels up to the sky. So we're on our tippy, tippy, tippy toes. And then exhale, let's swish the heels over to the right. Keep pressing into both of our hands. And then inhale back up to our tippy toes, Lengthen in that spine. And then exhale, swish those feet over to the left. And you can even go swish. And then back up to our tippy toes. Bend the knees, lengthen in the spine. And then begin to press our heels down in towards our mat. Into the general direction of the mat. If we are not even close, it's fine. We're just working in that direction. Good. And now looking forward, just past our hands, bending the knees, stepping forward all the way up to the top of our mat. We can release those hands, wiggle the fingers, and find ourselves in a forward fold here. Let's inhale, bringing our hands to our shins, looking forward, creating a flat back, long legs. Exhale, we'll fold. And then gently bending the knees, we'll round ourselves all the way up to the top. And then exhale, hands come to our sides in Tadasana, pulling the shoulders back, lifting the heart. Thighs and booty are working real hard. Abs are working hard. Feet are pressing into the floor. Neck is lengthening. Fingers are reaching down. And we're breathing. And then inhale, let's lift those hands up high. And we'll slightly bend those knees, hinge at the hips as we fold forward. Keeping our knees nice and bended so that our hands can find the floor. We're going to keep our right foot where it is. We're going to step behind it with our left foot so we're crisscrossed here. Little crisscross fold. And if we're happy here, we stay here. If we would like, we can raise up that right hand. Makes the balance a little bit more difficult, but we do have that left hand to help us out. Hopefully we're feeling a little bit of length in that IT band on the right side. A little twist in the spine. And then exhale. Both hands find the mat. We'll unwind those feet. Inhale, hands can come to our shins or to the floor for a flat back. Half lift. And then exhale, soften into our fold. And we'll keep our left foot on the floor, step behind with the right into our crisscross fold on this side. Take a breath or two, kind of shimmy around, see how everything feels. We need to bend our knees, absolutely bend the knees. And then if we would like, we can keep that right hand on the floor and lift the left one up to the sky. See if we can get a little bit more love into that IT band on the left side. And then slowly we'll lower back down. Both hands find the mat. We'll unwind those legs. We'll slightly bend in the knees. We'll fold a little bit. And then inhale to a half lift. Hands can come to the shins, to the feet, to the floor. And then exhale, hands find the mat, and we'll step back for downward facing dog. We can pedal it out if we need. I'm a big fan of wiggling into our poses. And then inhale forward into our plank. Let's exhale, shoulders will come forward, elbows will go back as we lower ourselves down. Soften the feet underneath of us. Hands are under our shoulders. Let's inhale. We can do a baby cobra, or we can come up to upward facing dog. And then we'll tuck the toes. We'll lift our hips, press back for our downward facing dog. Lift up the right leg. We'll step forward into a lunge. And then from here, let's drop that left heel down behind us. Hands will come up to our right thigh and we'll lengthen in this right leg. And we're going to shift those hips back towards the front of the mat and then begin to walk ourselves down into pyramid. Hands can stay to our thigh or our shin, a block. We've got our couch sitting here, but we're still pulling that left hip forward, which will help that right hamstring get a little bit more attention. Good, and then let's bend that right knee. We'll lift the left heel, hands find the floor. Into that lunge. And now let's lower the left knee back down to the mat. We'll lift the foot back, reaching back with our left hand. And now let's make sure our hips are still facing forward. So we bring that heel in towards our butt again. And then lowering down, let's tuck that left heel back to our lunge, and then we'll step up to the top of our mat for our forward fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, we'll fold. Good, and then we'll step back into our downward facing dog. Pulling the shoulders away from our wrists, even glancing up towards those wrists to see if we've got a lot of creases or wrinkles. The more we pull ourselves back and lengthen, the less creased our wrists will be. And then inhale, we'll come forward to our plank on our knees or on our toes. We'll exhale down. And then we'll inhale into our choice of back bend. Cobra, upward facing dog. We can do Sphinx. We'll tuck those toes, lift our hips, press back into our downward facing dog. And then let's lift that left leg. And we'll step forward into our lunge on this side. And then from here, we'll lower that right heel down into the mat. Hands will come up to the thigh, lengthen in that left leg, and then we're going to pull this right hip forward. So instead of pointing out to the right, we want to point those hips to the front of the mat, pressing into both heels, hinging at the hips as we lower ourselves down into pyramid. Doing our best to keep our backs nice and straight as opposed to drooping. Good, and now let's just bend that left knee. We'll come back to our lunge. So we'll lift that right heel, hands find the floor, and we'll even lower down the right knee into a half lunge. Bend the right knee, reach back with our hand. Bring both hips to face the front. And now let's lower down that foot. Hands find the floor. We'll tuck and we'll step back for our downward facing dog. Pedal it out if we need. And then looking forward, bending the knees. We can step or we can try to hop our way up to the top of our mat into our forward fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, let's fold, maybe even a little bit deeper. Bending the knees, rolling our way up nice and slow. And exhale, hands come down to our sides for Tadasana. Take a couple of breaths here. And we'll bring our hands to our hearts. We'll bring those thighs and our knees together and we'll sit down nice and low into our chair. Pressing into those palms. Sitting the bum down. And now, instead of sticking our butt out, we're going to tilt it just a little bit. Keep that low back open and strong. Let's stay here for 2 more breaths. Good, and then inhale, let's lift up high. And now exhale, let's do a little back bend from here. So let's bring those hips forward, lift the heart, hands will come back just a little bit. And then back up to the top. Bringing our hands back down into prayer at our hearts. We'll sit down into the chair again. And now this time, we're going to keep all of the weight on our right foot. Lift up the left, and we're going to cross that ankle over the knee. Find where we're at. We can continue to sink down into that chair. Good, and then inhale, let's lift up. Lower that left foot down. Take a breath here. If we need to, we can just wiggle those legs a little bit. Inhale, and then exhale, we'll sit down into the chair again. I know, lots of chair. Then we'll find our balance on our left foot. Cross the right, over the left knee. Sit down low. Or not. If this is where we're at, this is where we're at. This is where we're at. Find where we're at today on this side. Sometimes we're a little imbalanced. We have to listen to what our body is telling us it needs or is capable of doing. Good, and then inhale, let's lift up, unwind, take a breath here. And inhale, let's lift the hands up high. Exhale, little back bend again. Hips come forward, chests lift. And back up to the top. And then gently bend the knees and we'll fold forward. We'll bend those knees and we'll just roll up into a little ball here. Heels can even come up off of the floor. We'll tuck our chin. And then slowly and ever so gracefully, we will help ourselves down onto our bottoms and find ourselves in staff bent knees. Good. And then from here, let's do a little bound angle. So we'll open up those knees nice and wide. Our feet will come together. We'll find our sitting bones rooting down into our mats. And then we'll open up our feet like a book, opening wide. Close our eyes. Take a few breaths here. Give our body permission to let go. If we would like, we can even do a little forward fold. And then slowly we'll release. We'll bring those knees back together. And then we'll extend this left leg out long, out in front of us. It can even go kind of off to the left. And now this right leg is going to bend, and we're going to tuck that heel over here next to our hip in a variation of Janu Shavasana. Take a breath or two. And then we'll slowly turn our way toward this right knee. Lengthen in that spine as we inhale. And then exhale, we'll lower the left hand down inside the left leg. Right arm reaches up and over. And then inhale, we'll come up. And we'll turn toward this left leg. And slowly walk our hands forward and fold here. And then inhale, walking ourselves back up. And now we'll center ourselves, and then hands will come back behind us. Taking our time, really making sure that we are listening to what we're able to do today. We're going to work our way backwards and think about lengthening in this right quad. Can come down to our elbows, can come all the way down to our back. And then inhale, we'll come up oh so carefully. We'll help this right leg come out in front of us. We can wiggle it out if we need. And now we'll keep this right leg out long, left leg bends back behind us. Find our sitting bones. See how we're feeling right here. And then slowly we'll turn towards this left knee. We'll lengthen on that inhale. And then as we exhale, we'll tilt over to the right, lowering the right arm to the inside of the leg, reaching up and over with the left. This is where we get. It's really great. We can keep reaching as best we can. We lengthen and lower, doing our best to keep those shoulders stacked. We don't want to round forward. And then slowly we'll help ourselves up. And then we'll turn ourselves toward this right leg. Hands can walk our way down as we fold. And then we'll help ourselves back up to the top, recenter ourselves, and then our hands will go back behind us. And help ourselves down. Think about lengthening in that left leg, maybe in the front of the hip. And then we'll help ourselves back up to the top. We'll release that left leg and give them both a little shake. And then we'll roll up into our little ball. Rock back onto our backs. hug this right shin nice and tight into our bodies. Left leg will come out long. We can relax our head and shoulders into our mats as well. And then releasing the right leg and guiding it across for a spinal twist. Our left hand can gently touch and guide this right knee. Left hand can come, or left hand is on the knee, right hand is to the ground, out to the side. And then we can even take our gaze out to the right, extend that twist up into our cervical spine. And then we'll come back to the center. Bring both knees into our chest. Both hands will come to that left shin. We can release the right leg down. Hugging that left knee tight, tight, tight into our bodies. And then when we're ready, we'll release that left leg, guide it across with the right hand, and find ourselves in the spinal twist on the second side. Breathing deeply. And we'll release back to the center. Again, bringing those knees into our chest, rolling up into our ball. Take a couple of deep breaths here. One last inhale. And then exhale, releasing our legs down to the mat for Shavasana. Tucking those shoulders underneath of us. Arms find their spot to our sides, palms up. Our eyes are closed. Our jaw is soft. Our body relaxes more and more with every breath. Permitting ourselves to be supported by the earth. Allowing ourselves to just be for a few minutes. Begin to deepen our breath. Gently wiggle our fingers and our toes. And move our head from side to side. And bring awareness back into our bodies. And when we're ready, we'll bring those knees in towards our chest and roll over onto our side. And then help ourselves up to a comfortable seated position. Inhaling, lifting our hands up to the sky, bringing them together at the top. And then exhaling them down to our hearts with gratitude. Giving thanks to us for all of the gifts we just gave ourselves. I'm so grateful that you joined me today. You allowed me to help you through your practice. I hope that you feel even just a little bit better than when we started. I wish you a very, very happy rest of your day. The light in the divine in me recognizes and respects the light in the divine in you. And when we are together, whether physically or virtually, we are one. Namaste.